Okay, so this is the Hiboy P7. And this review, I'm going to be talking about this $12.99 electric bike. I think the normal price is $13.99, but most of the times I go onto the website, it's $12.99. But yeah, this bike does come in two different colors. You have black and also the gray color that I have here. And you're not getting any thrills or frills with the design of this bike. And that's kind of the theme with this bike, right? It's nothing flashy, just kind of trying to go after the basics, but it's a clean look. And I'm showing you some welds here. I'm not a welder myself, so they look good in my opinion, but let me know down in the comments how good these welds are. But everything is cleanly organized. The cables up front are nicely tightly bundled down together, and also some of them go inside of the frame of the bike and come out the back. So it's a clean look overall. And this does come with a couple of reflectors. So you get a red one that sits on the seat post, and then you get a white one that sits on the handlebars. But this bike also does come with an integrated headlight. So there's a button on the left side of the handlebars right above the horn button that will allow you to turn on the headlights, and it's decent. I don't do a lot of nighttime riding, but I think it's going to be decent for riding, you know, in dusk or right before it gets dark. But if you do a lot of nighttime riding, I do suggest getting something a little bit better. But on the back, you will not be finding a tail light or a brake light, so you just have that reflector back there. Oh, and this bike does not come with any fenders, but you do have the mounting points to be able to add some on if you choose. But I did look on the company's website. I didn't see any fenders that they were selling. Maybe I missed them, but you can always get some from Amazon or somewhere else if you wanted to. And also, as you can see, you do not get a rear rack. Now, up on the handlebars, you will find some decent grips. They are a little ashy looking, but they do have a nice little grip and feel to them. And on the right-hand side on the handlebars next to the grips, you will find a twist throttle. And then also you will find the controls for the 9-speed Shimano shifter here. So normally you see around like 7 speeds as far as e-bikes, but you get 9 speeds with this. So you have a decent amount of gear range to be able to go up and down those gears depending on the type of terrain, whether you're climbing hills or just riding on flat land, and it works very well. And then on the left-hand side of the handlebars, as I mentioned before, you have the controls to turn on the headlight and also the horn button. And then also to the right of that, you will find a small LCD display, but it gives you enough information as far as your speed, you know, your odometer, your range, and your battery life. And the battery that you're getting with this bike is a removable 48-volt, 15-amp-hour battery that has a capacity of 696 watt-hours. And the battery will take you around 7 to 8 hours of charge, which is a long time. Sometimes you get fast charges, but you don't get that with this bike. And as far as the range, you can get up to 37 miles just by using the throttle only, and up to 68 miles using pedal assist. But like always, you know, I always have to say this is the kind of the perfect conditions that the manufacturer has said. Depending on your weight and terrain and where you're riding, you might get a lower range or you might get a higher range, maybe if you weigh way less than I do. So definitely take that into consideration. But something that I don't talk about a lot in my e-bike reviews is going to be the charging port cover for the battery. So I know it's kind of weird, but I've used a lot of bad ones where they come disconnected very easily and they're very flimsy, but this one isn't. So it's very easy to take it off and on. It has a kind of a little knob that sticks out, and then when you do put it on, it's a very secure fit. I do appreciate this one to keep the water out of the charging port. And speaking of water, this bike is rated IPX4 for water resistance, so light rain and stuff is fine. You definitely want to try to dry it off if it does get wet, but don't be jumping this thing in a lake or anything. Now, they say this bike weighs 75 pounds, but I don't know. I've used a lot of 75-pound bikes. It doesn't feel like it weighs 75 pounds. I don't know if that's just like the packaging on the website, but I looked a couple of places and it says 75 pounds, so there you have it. But as far as the weight capacity, as far as what this bike can support, it can support up to 265 pounds. Now, when it comes to the overall ride of this bike, it's not that bad. So you do get front suspension, but no rear suspension. So this bike will be able to smooth out those bumps on the front end, but you might feel them on the back end. But I do recommend switching over to a suspension seat post if that's a concern for you. But transitioning from riding on a hard path to grass is also not that bad, because this bike does have 27.5 by 2.2 inch tires. So they're not super fat, but also they're not super skinny. So they're kind of good all-terrain tires. But generally I found that, you know, getting up hills, it's not too bad because you do have those lower gears that you can shift down to. And getting up hills like this is not too bad because, again, you have those 9 levels of gears to shift to. But the one thing that I definitely would switch out is going to be this super small seat on this bike, which is a common issue on e-bikes with having just a small seat for bigger people like me, right? So I do have a big butt, so they're just uncomfortable. So if you're not really as big as I am, you might not have that big of an issue with it, but this seat is gonna be one of the first things to go. And when it comes to braking, you do get front and rear mechanical disc brakes. And as far as the motor, this does come with a 500-watt brushless hub motor in the rear. And now I think it's a good time to go ahead and transition over to my speed and braking test. All right, so now for my speed test. Now, it has been pretty windy out here in St. Louis, but this has been the least windy that it's been, so we're gonna give it a go. So the first test, we'll just be using pedal assist, and let's get this thing going in 3, 2, 1, boom. All righty. Off to a start here, have it on pedal assist level 5. And this does take like maybe 2, sometimes to 3 rotations to get going. But once you do, it's relatively smooth. We're at 19, 20 miles per hour pretty quickly there on my GPS app on my phone. And we're at 22 miles per hour on the bike's display. And we give it a little bit more power here. We're at 23, 24 miles per hour on the bike's display and 24 on the GPS app, and hit 25 miles per hour. So that's been about average of what I've been, so that's about average of what I've been able to get. So now let's test out the brakes. Whew. All right, mechanical disc brakes are good. All right, so now for my throttle only test. So let's get this thing going in 3, 2, 1, boom. All right, so takeoff is a little slow, but I expect that of a 500-watt motor. But we're already off to the races here. We're at 12 miles per hour on the GPS. We're at 15 miles per hour on the bike's display. Now we're at 17 miles per hour on the GPS. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but I do weigh around 220 pounds right now. I just ate breakfast, that's why. No, I'm lying. I have about 10 pounds of camera gear in my backpack. We're at 20 miles per hour right now on the bike's display, 21 miles per hour on the actually 21 miles per hour on the bike's display. We're at 20 miles per hour on the GPS app on my phone. And I do have a little bit of a tailwind too. Actually, the wind has shifted. It's actually in front of me now. But yeah, looking like we're keeping steady, we'll say around 21 miles per hour on throttle only. So let me hit the brakes one more time. All right, so just a little bit of squeaking there, but the brakes are good. And so yeah, with this being a Class 2 electric bike, this will be able to be ridden in a lot of different places compared to like a Class 3. So I think the speed is decent. It's not a speed demon by any means, but for 500 watts, you're able to get up to 20 miles per hour just using the throttle only pretty easily. And so there's nothing majorly wrong about this bike that I would really gripe about besides the seat. Like the seat being too small is one of my standard gripes with most electric bikes. But outside of that, you know, nothing really bad to say about this bike, but also nothing special to say about it either. So I'll leave a link down below to this Hiboy P7 electric bike so you can check it out for yourself if you want. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about this bike yourself, and make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell and also that like button if you did like this video. But like always, I do want to thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you later. Peace.